Hi, so I'm going to show you how to make coffee, steam milk, and maintain the machine during the time you're here. So this is the Brutus Expo Bar, our lovely espresso machine, and there's our grinder. Now, before you can make coffee, the machine has to heat up to the correct temperature. There are two switches here, obviously they're switches, and you just turn them on. It takes about 20 minutes for the machine to heat up, and you'll know when it's properly heated when the gauge reads 200. The correct temperature for making coffee, or this coffee, is between 199 and 200 degrees, which is how the machine is calibrated. Always keep the portafilter. This is the portafilter where you put the coffee. Always keep that in the brew head here, because you want the portafilter to also be 200 degrees, so that when you run the water through the coffee, the temperature doesn't suddenly drop. You also want to keep the coffee cups on top, so they won't be 200 degrees, but you want to make sure that they're warm, so that when the water or the coffee hits the cup, the temperature is not sucked out of the coffee. All of this goes towards making a delightful drinking experience. So once the machine reaches 200, you take the head out, you make sure it's clean, and you put it in the grinder here. Now the grinder is very precisely calibrated, both in terms of time and in terms of the coarseness of the grind. And you really don't want to change that, because if either the amount of coffee you're putting in the portafilter or the coarseness of the grind changes, it will have a significant effect on the quality of the espresso that you're making. So please do not change this. So you put the portafilter in here, make sure it's snug up, it doesn't fall down, you just put it like that. And for a doppio, you press 1, and the little blue light goes on. It's set for 10.5 seconds, and that yields you the amount of coffee you need. It's about 18.5 grams. So you just press start. All right, now you take it out and you level it up. What's most critical with this tamper is that you make sure that it's level and that the pressure is even. See how that's level? And then you put it back in here. Now don't grind in advance of making the coffee. It very quickly gets stale. And don't leave it in here in the machine for very long before actually making your coffee. Take a nice warm cup down from up there, carefully place it, and just turn the lever till it's pointing forward and the motor goes on, the pump. And you can hear the pump going on, and it's building up pressure, and you can actually see it on this pressure gauge here. So it's building up pressure, and when it reaches about 9 bars, it starts to make coffee. And I don't know if you can tell in the video, but there's this lovely dark liqueur, coffee liqueur that's coming out. And towards the end of this now, it's turning to what's known as crema, which is that golden foamy coffee that sits on the top. This takes about 40 seconds, and you're filling it to about half a cup. So we have to do this in real time, because I don't really have very much editing ability here. So that's about halfway. Just turn this off. And I can't really show it to you, but it's beautiful. Let me taste it. Ah, delicious. Okay, now I'm going to show you how, when you're finished, take this and bang it on the knock box, and then you'll rinse it off. There's a sink over here. Just rinse it on the sink. Nice, clean now, put it back in here for the next cup. That's all you do. Okay, I'm going to turn this off and show you how to steam milk. Okay, so how do you steam milk? We keep our frothing pitcher in the door of the refrigerator, because the colder the pitcher and the colder the milk, the easier it is to steam milk. I pre-filled this, but you should fill it to about 1/3 full if you're making a cappuccino for a doppio. maybe a little less for macchiato, although it gets harder to steam if you have too little milk in it. First thing you have to do is purge any water that is in this wand. The water condenses in the wand after you turn off the valve here. And the wand does not get hot, so you don't have to worry about hurting yourself if you touch it. Swing it around like so. The tip goes just below the surface of the milk, and you turn it on. And the idea is you're building up the volume of milk in this pitcher by making micro bubbles, tiny, tiny little bubbles. And you're bringing the milk to about 150 degrees. And you can tell when you get there, you see how the volume is building up? When this is just about too hot to touch, is when you do this. You turn this off. Now the first thing you have to do after you finish steaming milk is wipe this off very thoroughly. Let me wet this down. Usually I pre-wet it. So you wet this, make sure it's wet, and wipe that off. Otherwise milk builds up on that and it's very cruddy. And then also you have to purge it so that no milk gets trapped in here. Otherwise if milk gets trapped in there, then you won't be able to steam milk and you'll be out of luck. So remember, wipe this off, purge it every time you steam a cup of milk. So here's our steamed milk. You can see how the volume has gone up, and it's almost like paint. It started out as thin 1% milk. We use low-fat milk, and now it's almost like cream. And let me just pour some in a glass here, and you can see how it sticks to the sides and how it's just cream-like. And you have these tiny, tiny little bubbles. And that makes just a lovely cappuccino, a macchiato. And there you have it. Next, I'll show you some of the basics of maintaining the machine while you're here. Of course, you can't make coffee or steam milk without water, and we have to add water to the machine periodically. I would say, in your case, probably every third or fourth day. But if you do run out of milk, out of water, the machine simply shuts off. It won't harm the machine in any way. And if that happens to you while you're making a coffee, just stop what you're doing, add water, and the machine will be up and running. So the access to the water is under this lid here, so we take everything off the top. On the top we also keep this brush, which I'll show you how to use in a minute. And we also keep the single portafilter for making a single cup instead of a doppio. And I will show you how to get the right amount of coffee in that in a minute. Take the lid and just slide it over. It's just sitting on a little bracket that's on the back of the lid, or you can just lift it off. And you expose a container with two holes. On the side of the machine we keep a pitcher with a funnel in it. Take the funnel and put it in the front hole. This is all pretty obvious. Fill up the pitcher with cold water. Only use cold water when doing this. And you pour the water into the funnel. The machine is almost full now, so I'm not going to do a whole thing. One thing to be aware of is not to overfill this or to let it splash while you're putting the water in the funnel, because there are electric parts underneath the container. It's a dumb design, but anyway, that's how it is. So just be careful not to spill any water. When you're finished, just take that away. Put the lid back on and put everything back in place, and you're good to go. There you have it. Next, I'll show you how to clean the head. So, a couple of things to know about cleaning the head. Between cups of coffee, I would just turn this on for a second, turn it off, and then we keep these rags in the second drawer down, bar towels, and just give the head a little light cleaning so the next cup is nice and fresh. But every evening, or every other evening, I would take this brush that we keep on top, turn this on, and just go back and forth like so. Turn this off, give it a wipe with the bar cloth, And that's all you have to do. Once a day or every other day, and that'll keep things nice and fresh. And that always makes for a better cup of coffee if you don't have old bits of grinds floating around. And then there's one more thing I have to show you, and that's all there is to making coffee and cappuccinos. Actually, I don't have to move the machine. I mean the camera. So every time you turn off this lever here, water that's still in the portafilter is vented out through this valve here into this tray, and there's a tray under here that collects water. I don't know if you can see that. So it's a pretty large tray, so you should just keep an eye on it. Probably every third or fourth day. Clean it out, wipe out the grinds that are in it. I didn't clean it just now, but you should clean that out. And just slide it back, like so. And there you have it. Put this back, and you're good to go. So I hope the instructions that I've given you have been helpful for making coffee and maintaining the machine. A few things I wanted to point out. One is that we use a medium roast coffee from Africa, and that our grind setting and our timing is for that kind of coffee. And if you were to go to a dramatically different roast or a coffee even from a different region of the world, the quality of the coffee might change because you'd have to change some of those adjustments. We've left you enough coffee, I think, to last for your entire stay, but if you have to replenish the coffee, then you should look for some medium roast from preferably an African country, or Central America would also be a similar quality coffee. Please do not feel the need to replace the coffee. We get the coffee we like. This is our gift to you, and we do not want you to replace it, so don't feel the need to replace it at all. I hope you actually enjoy this. We think it's a very good quality, a good experience after having been to Italy and experiencing the great coffee of Italy. So if you wanted to make a single, one thing you should realize is, remember I said to make a doppio. I don't even know if you can see the machine, so let me bring it over here. To make a doppio, you press 1 and you get it to 10-second grind. That gives you 18 grams of coffee. If you wanted to make a single, you press 2, and you can see it's 5.4 ounces, so you're getting half the coffee. And you put this on there, and basically that's how you make a single. I think that covers everything. I would suggest that if you are serious about steaming milk and making a nice frothy cappuccino, then you should look online. I will give you some links, because it takes a while to master that art, and there are some much better videos than certainly I've just prepared. Anyway, I hope you have a good time here in our home and in New York City, and with our friend Brutus here. I hope he serves you well.